When you think of falsettos, what first comes to mind?
Mm, R&B is what I think about when I think of falsetto. It's such a cheat code. I was just talking to Babyface the other day because I'm been using my falsetto in the last few records that I've been releasing. He's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "It's the cheat code. It's like that when you sing in falsetto, the ladies are gonna go crazy. It's a cheat code,
Yes.
and it's probably one of the most vulnerable places that you can be in your range. I mean, I can remember as a kid, being able to listen to like Philip Bailey with Earth, Wind and Fire. When you think about more modern falsetto singers like Maxwell, he was so amazing, and the ability to kind of articulate at that key was great. Or Bilal or D'Angelo, Philly singers that really understood how to play in that space. It creates a challenge, but it's undeniably R&B. And oddly enough, when you mix the two, this kind of R&B and pop sensibility, it creates a through line between both genres. Like
Yes.
pop people or pop genre, they actually love it, and R&B and hip hop love it because it's like it's a mutual space. It ain't quite just old school classic R&B. It actually goes into another space. When I think about Heat Wave and I think about Curtis Mayfield and the fact that it was like super fly, and it was almost like, I'm talking in this, I'm a super pimp, baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
It's like Shot Town. You know what I'm saying? It was like all of that talk, that of that culture, and the sophistication of it. Of feeling, just like not like this standard thing. It was almost like a woman's tone, but a man doing it. So it's like, it just broke all of the barriers. So special.
You did a lot of heavy lifting, but you made it seem so light and easy with just keeping that alive in music throughout the 90s, 2000s into now. How is that for you?
There's a lot of expectation that comes with it, believe it or not, because you got to create this balance between being authentically R&B and also to continuing to gather and build an audience. So it's honestly artists like Stevie Wonder,
Right.
incredible albums that were constructed by, Earth, Wind and Fire or Curtis Mayfield that were the kind of model of where I wanted to be when I first started. So there's the pressure, right, of being the person or either one of the people who, kind of moves that culture forward and not be obsessed and thinking in your mind. Like Prince, for instance, he sang in his falsetto a lot, right? But I don't put Prince in a specific genre. He's rock and roll, he's blues and jazz, he's classical, he's R&B, he's pop, he's all of those things. And those guys became the motivation, the heroes that I looked up to in order to create this career that I've created. But there actually is a lot of pressure because people are so analytical, and they're like, all right, well, we want you to grow, but we don't want you to change.
Yeah, do that old thing,
Right, we want that. We want the thing that we've always gotten from you, but yet I can't be who I was because I've grown. I've now been introduced to different things, and R&B is a forever evolving genre. There's no specific style of R&B, rather it's soul or blues or hues of jazz or hues of nostalgic R&B. You think about all of those things as you create it, and then there's this new transparent and very vulnerable, kind of toxic R&B.
What do you think of that?
Opinion, I mean, I think that I'm kind of one of the founding fathers of it, if I would say. With Confessions, I think I would say that it was a bit brash to just be that vulnerable, and toxic by way of being maybe conflicted. Maybe toxic ain't the best word to say, because I don't want to limit, what Confessions is as a style. But I think this honesty, this brutal honesty about, how we are and where we are and not being conflicted. I think the more that we find our way to honesty, I think the better we are as people, even if it's not what you want to hear.
I think honesty is a great way to describe your music because I've always believed you in your music. I think toxic just kind of connotates not caring. I think there's a lot of deep care and reflection in your music, especially songs like Bad Habits. I love that song. I drive around to it looking crazy all day in the name of that song. So I look forward to the new album. In talking about Falsetto, you name a lot of influences and people like Curtis Mayfield and Prince, and those are, of course, Black artists. But what did you think of folks like the Bee Gees and Frankie Valli, who were also very well known for falsetto, to where at the Bee Gees' peak, they were probably the face of that register?
Yeah, I think disco and funk and those very specific cues of R&B, I think they were all inspired by the one guy who I think is the king of it all, and that is Little Richard. Little Richard,
Yeah.
he gave us falsetto and funk in a different way. But when I think about the Bee Gees and I think about, Kenny Loggins and white guys, right, who were able to also to participate in this thing that we were playing with and creating. Who knows when it started, who decided to kind of push the limits, but it was just all about defying that kind of standard of arpeggio and moving to another register and another key and really pushing the voice, because it makes falsetto makes people feel something. It sends chills through your body. And specifically for women. For guys, I think that, we've had different ways to use it. When you think about Curtis Mayfield, it felt like the guy's version of, like, the most male version
Rugged.
it felt like a rugged version of falsetto. When you think about, Bee Gees, it felt like super cool and fresh, but it kind of went with this disco era. I don't know if he was like trying to just make women more comfortable in and singing. I don't know what it was, but I think that it brings an energy to music and to R&B music or any of those. When I say R&B, I'm saying all of them. That means disco, that means funk, that means blues, that means jazz, all of those. So I wrap all of those into R&B. I called it the cheat code because I think it is. I think when you sing in your falsetto, you're cheating. But it's a great cheat because it's like, you got
everybody can't cheat. Everybody can cheat.
Everybody can't get there. Yeah.
So let's talk about your residency in Vegas. I'm so excited to go. So my birthday is October 17th, and I had planned to go, but my friends could not get it together. And I have one friend, she's like your biggest fan. So I had to wait for her to get it together, and we're going for the 4th of July. Can you talk about what it has been like for you this past year to just be celebrated in that way and to celebrate your fans in this intimate, very special My Way residency?
Oh, man. Well, first of all, thank you for the time that you
welcome.
And your girlfriends have put into getting here. And I promise that I will leave you satisfied. This is definitely a show that is a labor of love. It is not the end of my career.
Yes.
For all the people who have ever speculated that Las Vegas felt like, okay, it's the end. Nah, this is only the beginning. And as a matter of fact, it's a celebration of all of the past up into the current moment.
Yes.
I've really taken my time to get here. And now that I get a chance to do it my way. It wasn't just named My Way because of my album. It's named My Way because I get a chance to do it my way. I get a chance to do some of the things that I've always wanted to do. The one benefit that I would say is great about it is that I get a chance to really settle. When I'm touring around the world, I'm, moving around, don't really get a chance to enjoy life, don't get a chance to enjoy the places that I go. I can do this residency. I get a chance to still be with family. I get a chance to still handle business. I get a chance to, satisfy my audience and myself, because when I'm on stage, I'm satisfying myself more than anything. That is the greatest part of all of it. I love being in the studio. I love writing. I love dancing. I love performing. But performance, like live, that bar none, that right there is like, that is ecstasy for me. And I get a chance to please myself more than anything by doing that for you.
And I'm glad you say that, because I was not sure at first if, because it's called My Way, you're only doing songs from the My Way album. Like, I would have showed up just for that. But I don't want to spoil the set list either. So whatever you got, we're going to come in and get it. So I'll let my friend know that you're preparing a great show. But I watched your documentary, your My Way documentary, and you also talked about how that My Way album is inspired in part by Frank Sinatra. Are there parts of Frank Sinatra that are reflected in your show as well?
Frank Sinatra, as a classic, artist, came to Las Vegas and showed you something or offered you something that you may not have necessarily saw. If this was a place of leisure, this was a place of luxury. And if I were to be compared to anybody, it would be an honor to be associated in the same name and sentence as Frank Sinatra. He did it his way, and now I'm doing it my way.
Your way, yeah.
So the same thing applies in terms of bringing a sophistication to this city. You know, I want people to feel great about dressing up. I want you to wear that sexy ass dress and put them high heels on. Don't forget to pack, you know what I'm saying, your Skechers or whatever your slippers in your bag.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna definitely dance.
I'm gonna need a big bag. I'm a size 10. I'm a size 10. I'm gonna need a big tote bag. Yeah. That I actually, like, quick story, but I was at a concert, unfortunately, where there was like a shooting and like I got trampled crazy, right? So I lost my shoes. I was wearing fit flops because I have big feet. I'm a size 10. So like everything I don't think looks great on big feet. So I walk out of there barefoot and then I tell the cops, like, hey, like my shoes are still inside. Can I grab them? And he's like, no, like you can't go back inside and grab your shoes. So I go to the Dwayne Reed and there's only one pair of size 10 like flip flops for women. And I'm telling this guy at the register my story and he's like, wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. And then he buys them and walks out the store with them. So I have to walk. It was like, I was so upset at him. Bigger feet or not, you know, all that sometimes because there's no shoes, but I will bring shoes for Usher. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
You know what? If I see you, maybe I have a pair of flip flops just for you. You said a
size 10.
Thank
you. Size 10. Size 10. Size 10.
You wear the highest heel that you can find.
Okay,
and I'll
I got
supply
them.
you with your flip flops. I got you.
Okay, that's a bet. I promise. Usher, thank you so much. This has been awesome. We really appreciate your time. And we also spoke to Smokey Robinson about this, by the way, and he couldn't stop talking amazing things about you. So you're in great company, and I can't wait to come see you out in Vegas.
The gurus, you know what? Mr. Falsetto himself, right?
Yes.
Cheat code.
This is great.
Mesmerized by the eyes. He got
always. Thank you, Usher.